Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store and online. And now, all mattresses are on sale. Plus, free home delivery during our Cyber Week sale. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Miss Peter Burns yesterday, but he's good enough to join us today. Let's do it.
This week in the SEC with Peter Burns.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Let's separate the contenders from the pretenders.
Number 11 of the defense, throwing the LSU player's shoe 20 yards down the field.
With Peter Burns of the SEC Network, presented by Blue Delta Jeans.
Yo, man, how are you?
Isn't that intro just the perfect tying together all of these storylines?
Yes.
Like me, the LSU fan, Lane coming from Oxford and Ole Miss, where Blue Delta Blue Jeans was founded, and it's the call about the Florida Gators. I mean, like this is like the holy trinity of this storyline. Hello, sir.
You shouldn't have mentioned Blue Delta from Ole Miss. You just tanked their stock in Baton Rouge, unfortunately.
They'll be fine.
They'll be great. They're great jeans, by the way. You should check them out if you don't have any Blue Delta jeans. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Okay, I want to ask you about all of the coaching cycle stuff in the SEC, but let me just first get your reaction to Lane stuff, how it all transpired, all that good stuff. You good with it?
I mean, as an LSU fan, I don't care. I mean, there's a couple different answers here, right? As an LSU fan, and I said that on SportsCenter yesterday, I'm like, not only did you beat Florida on the field, but you beat them off the field for the Lane sweepstakes, so that's one. And then you got to probably be happy of how the way Lane left everything in Oxford, which was probably not the greatest part. But then again, things change quickly. And I said that on my show on Monday, Matt, that I wouldn't be surprised if there was a route for some of those guys to go back and find a happy median of letting Ole Miss, coach with some of their coaches and assistants for a playoff run and still have Lane as the head coach. And I kind of wonder if that could have been handled in a different way. But you can't put the genie back in the bottle now. And now we'll see how Ole Miss does. And LSU got their guy.
They are going to let Charlie Weiss go coach the playoff. It feels a little contradictory, right? That they couldn't let Lane coach his team, but they're going to let Weiss coach the team?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's even bigger picture of all right, what's the optics of having your head coach be there and having a play caller or assistants and what you're kind of robbing of that crew. And I credit Lane for doing it. I credit for Keith Carter and those guys who are trying to find a happy medium. And I think that's where I kind of go back in this whole thing of like, hey, was there a different way to kind of handle this even a month ago? And might have this been the solution, but listen, none of it's going to be easy, right? Like I don't know how many people get divorced and say, man, that was just awesome. Like, man, everybody ended up being great. There's going to be some casualties on it, and I think as an LSU fan, you don't give a flying you-know-what because you got your guy. And now the expectations are you've got arguably the most creative offensive mind in all of college football, paired with hopefully one of the best defensive coordinators in Blake Baker. And sky's the limit, and now go out there and make the college football playoffs, get back to Atlanta, and win some damn natties.
PB, take Lane Kiffin out of it. Amazingly, there was no turnover a year ago in the SEC among head coaches. Almost half the league turned over this year. So who is the best hire?
I mean, there's no doubt that, Lane ends up being the bell of the ball. So I think everybody's, we're going to look at that as
take Lane out. Yeah, take Lane out of it. That's
the fact of, and listen, I can't stand the winning the press conference. I hate the whole winning the press conference thing is such a BS deal.
Who has never not done that? Right.
Yeah, well, we've had a couple. Remember Adam Gase with the Jets when he looked like he was just like high off helium and like he was got all bug-eyed? That was a weird one. But I love the idea of Alex Golesh over at Auburn. In fact, I should say I don't love it because I'm an LSU fan. But that high-powered offense, they've got some playmakers, depending on what they do on defense. And I know they had to pivot early because I think that's why the dominoes of this were so crazy. So I think Golesh at Auburn is very interesting, and I'm curious about Summerall. The more and more I talk to Doring, I know the Florida fan base was just in absolute, just shambles when Lane decided he was going to come down to the 225. And the more people that talk about it are like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a group of five coach, but this is a completely different demeanor in Summerall than you had with Billy Napier. With Billy, and I love Billy, but Billy, you couldn't tell if he won the lottery or his dog died. And that was a problem with the Florida Gators. When things weren't going well, he was almost too even killed. And I think Summerall, as you saw it with Tulane, he's a fiery guy, so I'm curious how that works out.
Go the other way. Who bombed their hire?
I think just people don't understand Ryan Silverfield beating Memphis or Memphis beating Arkansas, and then you decide, all right, this is the guy. And they might have had to pivot because Golesh was probably in the bag. And that's why, all of this is a musical chairs. And all of a sudden, boom, when Lane decided, the music stopped. Everybody had to find somebody within 12 hours. And, Sexton, I'm sure, created that market. And I think that's probably the biggest one. But it's still not as big of a disaster as what's happening at Penn State right now. Penn State was one of the most looked at jobs. It's in the Big Ten. It's got pedigree. It's got facilities. It's got money. And now they just whiffed on this coach. And now where the hell do they go?
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
It was the first one open, PB. It's amazing the first job open is still open right now. Peter Burns, SEC Network, at Peter Burns, ESPN. Brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. Last thing is I know you got to go. What do you make of what Ole Miss did promoting Pete Golding?
I think they had to make a move quickly, and it's a matter of, hey, who can you put in that position that's not going to, fly the coop and go different directions? And I think if you would ask this question, on the boat with Lane Kiffin a couple of months ago, he probably would have said, yeah, man, I would have loved to take a different job. And I want Pete, who's my boy, to have an opportunity to be a head coach. And so it probably worked out well for Pete. How it works well, I'm curious to see the College Football Playoff Committee. And my biggest question, I don't know, you haven't had Lane on, but can you please ask him about Juice Kiffin? Because I'm so curious. Does Juice live with Pete Golding? Did he ever live with Lane Kiffin? Was this kind of just a marketing deal?
Are people suggesting that that's not really his dog?
Oh, buddy. I'm not sure it was.
Okay.
Are you not familiar with this? Maybe I'm way too plugged in on some different things, but you can't mess with dog emotions. I
feel like I've loosely heard in the last day that there's people alleging that Juice is not actually Lane's dog. So are we saying that Juice doesn't exist, or it's just not his dog?
No, I don't think this is like an AI version of a dog. I think there's definitely a dog.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily. I think we were led to believe that it might have been his, and I'm not sure if that's the case. Might want to follow up on that.
All right, I'll put on my Sherlock Holmes hat. Why not? I actually was tweeting about a plane picking up a dog from the airport last week. So what the hell? I mean, I guess why not? If I was doing flight trackers, picking up hunting dogs, I guess I can find out about Juice Kiffin. Got a good Twitter following. All right, Peter Burns, SEC Network. Thank you.
See you, buddy.
Later, dude. It's interesting that he said Golish he thought was the best hire. And listen, I cannot sit here and tell you that I know a ton about Alex Golish. Now, I know Golish was the OC at Tennessee under Heupel, but that's Heupel's offense, right? We all assume that. He went to South Florida and had a lot of offensive success there and team success in a short window of a couple of years. But throughout all of this process, I do know that over the weekend, Saturday, when Lane Kiffin, in that 4-hour meeting, at that point made it clear like he's leaving and that was it. Ole Miss at that point was like, all right, well, what do we do now? Which is terrible planning by Keith Carter. I know Ole Miss fans are going to hate Kiffin forever and raise up Keith Carter in this and make him the martyr, but Keith Carter did a terrible job in this. You can be a nice guy, a smart guy, and you can botch a situation. He botched this because he didn't have a backup because he failed to recognize that Lane was leaving. And so they were, as I was told, they were going to pivot to Golish, and several high-level boosters at Ole Miss were like, yeah, we're not in on that piece, deuces. Good luck to you. And so that's when they moved to promote Pete Golding. And it feels very much like the Zach Arnett thing at Mississippi State. Now, a different scenario because, of course, there was a tragic situation with Mike Leach who suddenly and tragically died. And the way they structured Arnett's contract was that it really was a one-year deal. It was, we're going to put you in place. There's going to be no buyout. We're going to be able to get out of this if we need to, but you're going to be the head coach for a year and allow them to assess later, which they've done, I think, a pretty good job. I think Jeff Lebby has that thing clearly going in the right direction, but it kind of feels like that here with Pete Golding as well. Now, we'll see what the terms of the deal are, buyout, all that stuff, but they got left in a lurch because Keith Carter did a terrible job. He did a terrible job of planning, of having his plan B and C and D ready to roll because he just kept thinking he was going to be able to convince Lane Kiffin to stay, which was never happening. Anyway. All right, we're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Check out our friends over at South Point Volkswagen, y'all. You can test drive a Volkswagen today. Volkswagen deal days going on. How about 0% on 2025 Taos S? 0.9% on Atlas for 60 months. Holy moly. Test drive that Cross Sport. The Atlas is the 3-row, 7-seater family SUV. The Cross Sport just takes out the third row. That's the vehicle I drive. All the great style, feel, performance of luxury, the safety features, and right now a sign and drive going on. 0 down, 0 security deposit, no first month's payment. I mean, you sign your name, you're driving away in a brand new vehicle from South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? Okay, y'all, it's after further review, and glad to have you hanging out with us here on a busy sort of rapid-fire day. I do want to touch also on the latest with Frank Wilson we'll get to, and I do have to get to some Saints news as well, as the Saints are off. Today's Tuesday, so it's an off day in the NFL, but we didn't get to the Saints recap of the game against the Miami Dolphins, and then Kellen Moore meeting with reporters on Monday, so we still have a lot to get to here throughout the course of the show today, but let me knock out a break. We come back. We opened the show today kind of with an update on the Blake Baker situation. I do want to talk about Frank Wilson. We'll do that when we come back here on AFR.
AFR.
Let's Rev. R-E-V. Let's Rev.com. Let's Rev.com. Let's Rev.com. Y'all, I practice what I preach on this one. I'm telling y'all, man, at Parish Construction and Roofing, we are Rev customers. Here at Guarantee Media, we are Rev customers. More than 70,000 Louisiana homeowners and business owners trust Rev. R-E-V. Let's Rev.com. Let's Rev.com. Let's Rev.com. Listen, We're talking about high-speed internet, 90 years of local service, an all-fiber network, up to 5 gigs. So you get 5 gigs and the reliability of fiber, along with the legacy of 90 years of local service. Rev has you covered. Amazing people all over South Louisiana. REV. Let'sRev.com. Let'sRev.com. Switch today. Let'sRev.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Or just tilt.
She's even kind of crazy about my farmer's tan. She's the only one who really understands what gets me. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
I want to give you the latest on Frank Wilson here in just a quick second. Listen, if you were here an hour ago, Shea Dixon was with us, and he told you to be prepared because there were going to be a lot more flips incoming, and he was right. So, by the way, breaking news, let me get to this first. So, Hayes Fawcett, others have this. Ryan Moret, he's an offensive lineman, elite offensive lineman out of Miami, 6'4", 300 pounds, had been committed to Ole Miss since June. Ryan Moret has flipped from Ole Miss to LSU. Again, Hayes Fawcett has this per Ryan Moret. So Tigers pick up a big offensive lineman, the second Ole Miss commit to flip to LSU today. And as Shea told us earlier, expect there to be more. If you're keeping up with this, we do have over at LouisianaSports.net a recruiting tracker. It's live. It's right at the top of the homepage. So if you go to LouisianaSports.net, again, everything there is always free. No article limits, no paywalls, nothing. Right there, the very first thing you'll see is the live recruiting tracker. So as you scroll, as any new commitment comes in or a decommitment happens, we'll follow it there for you. So just to kind of catch you up on the day if you've missed it, 4-star tight end J.C. Anderson was the first to flip from Ole Miss to LSU, and then now Ryan Moret. So 2 Ole Miss prospects have flipped to LSU today. The decommitments out of LSU's class, wide receiver Kenny Darby out of Bossier, he is decommitted. Shea told us this is one of those things with Darby, also with Jalen Chapman, the interior offensive lineman, and wide receiver Kervin Johnson. By the way, Kervin Johnson has flipped from LSU to Ole Miss. The other two, Darby and Chapman, have both decommitted but have not announced where they're headed. These are all instances, as Shea told us, where LSU's new staff, Lane Kiffin staff, came in and they're assessing the LSU class and making decisions on who they want to keep in this class, who they do not. And similarly, there are prospects that they had committed to Ole Miss, seeing who might be interested in coming to LSU. So expect there to be more. But that recruiting tracker is live up at LouisianaSports.net. So bookmark that. You'll want it for the rest of the day today, and I'm sure all day tomorrow as well. It's all there at LouisianaSports.net. All right, it's after further review. Let me update you on Frank Wilson and everything going on there. So I think aside from Blake Baker, the most important staffer that we still need to discuss is Frank Wilson and what's going to happen there. And I know there's a lot of people, obviously, if you're an LSU fan, by the nature of the fact you're listening or watching, I assume you are. Frank Wilson is beloved, right? I mean, he's New Orleans area legend. We all know he's multiple stints now here at LSU. Not only is he a running backs coach, but he's also your recruiting coordinator, your interim head coach. Lane Kiffin said on Monday that Frank will coach the team in the bowl game as the interim head coach. He'll remain in that role. And Frank has a history with Lane Kiffin. Remember, Frank was on Lane Kiffin's staff at Tennessee in 2009, did not go with Lane to USC. Instead, came to LSU to join Les Miles' staff in 2010, where he was until he got the head coaching job at UTSA. Then went UTSA, McNeese, and back to LSU. Well, Frank has such an important role at LSU, not only as the New Orleans area recruiter, but as the recruiting coordinator. And I'll give Frank a tremendous amount of credit. A giant reason why after Brian Kelly was fired, you did not have a single opt-out and you kept this recruiting class together was Frank. And he's the guy that has those relationships. We played the soundbite for you, if you remember, when he described Harlan Berry's development. He talked about his grandfather is in a jazz band and his mom was a track athlete, and basically talking great detail about not only his parents but the extended family, right? I mean, Frank has real interpersonal relationships with all these people. It's one of the reasons he's a phenomenal recruiter and has been his whole career. So naturally, you'd think there's value in keeping that guy, but it's complicated because Lane Kiffin has a great relationship with his running backs coach, Kevin Smith. So Kevin Smith, you might remember, was a running back at UCF. Was a very good collegiate running back, then was drafted by the Detroit Lions, had a good NFL career. Well, Kevin Smith joined Lane Kiffin's staff at FAU. So he was with Lane for 3 years at FAU and then has been with him at Ole Miss for 6. So they've been together for 9 years. It's a decade here together that Kevin Smith has been on Lane Kiffin's staff. Kevin's son and Knox Kiffin were teammates at Oxford High, where Knox was a quarterback. Kevin Smith's son was a receiver, as I understand. So their families are very close. And Kevin Smith did not get on the plane to Baton Rouge Sunday. And a lot of the thought was, look, if you got on the plane, you're leaving. And if you didn't get on the plane, you're staying. I mean, it felt like that was a pretty clear line of demarcation. But Lane Kiffin has not stopped trying to recruit Kevin Smith to Baton Rouge. And the offensive line coach there as well, Garrison is his name. And while, as I understand it, a day ago, John Garrison, the offensive line coach, and Kevin Smith were supposed to be on a plane to Baton Rouge with their wives. The two coaches did not come to Baton Rouge. They stayed in Oxford. But their two wives did make the trip to Baton Rouge, just to go on a fact-finding mission, kind of like what Layla Kiffin and Angela Kiffin did 2 weeks ago. I don't know how that went or if any decision has been made. But Lane is trying to get Kevin Smith to join the staff. And so then some people said, okay, well, that's fine. Well, if Frank can't coach running backs, well, let him coach something else. Well, George McDonald, Lane's wide receiver coach, has already come. And you don't really have another spot on staff. You say, well, make Frank an analyst. Well, remember, analysts can't recruit off campus. And Frank is not going to take an off-the-field role. That's just not going to happen. So how does this all play out? Not only is it important for Frank because of current guys on the roster like Harlan Berry, who's got a great relationship with, but also the signing class and recruiting in New Orleans. We reported at LouisianaSports.net this morning, there was a phone call with Blake Baker, Lane Kiffin, Richard Anderson, and Richard Anderson's representatives this morning, Tuesday morning. And Richard Anderson has made the decision not to sign, at least as of this morning. He had made the decision not to sign with LSU on Wednesday. We're talking about the 5-star number 1 defensive lineman in the country out of Edna Carr in New Orleans. And the reason is because he doesn't know who his defensive line coach is going to be, and he doesn't know if Frank Wilson's going to be on the staff. Remember, 2 weeks ago, Richard Anderson took an official visit to the University of Texas, so he was in Austin a couple of weeks ago. So this further complicates this whole situation right now. As it pertains to Anderson specifically, and I spoke directly with someone who was on that call. As it relates to Anderson specifically, and we have all this whole story up at LouisianaSports.net if you want to read it, but as it relates to Anderson, he's going to take December to get to know the new LSU staff, wait and see how the staff shakes. Who's going to be his defensive line coach? Is Frank Wilson on the staff? He'll be able to make another visit to LSU in January when the dead period ends and he can have in-person contact again. And then he'll sign a grant and aid. Remember, there's no LOI anymore, the letters of intent. So you just sign your financial aid paperwork. So he can just sign his grant and aid and then enroll in school wherever he's going to go in January. You don't have to sign anything tomorrow. You don't have to. Just Wednesday is the first day you can. So there's still a shot that Richard Anderson ends up, he's still committed to LSU, and he could still end up in the class. But there's also a possibility that if he doesn't like who his defensive line coach is going to be, if Frank Wilson's not here, that he could flip, and Texas is the one pushing for his commitment. And as I understand it, Texas has a 7-figure NIL promise on the table for Richard Anderson, which you would expect. I mean, he's a 5-star number one defensive lineman in the country. And I was also told that LSU's offer is very competitive and comparable. So I don't know the exact dollar amount, but money will be comparable. It's about where he's going to be comfortable. And not knowing who his coach is going to be is a big part of that. And obviously Frank Wilson is his primary recruiter. So if you're Lane Kiffin, I think you ask yourself the question right now, like how essential is Frank Wilson to locking down Richard Anderson and New Orleans? And is it worth not having Kevin Smith on the staff to maintain all those relationships? Now, my answer is, yeah. I mean, I don't know Kevin Smith. I don't care if Kevin Smith's here or not. I know Frank Wilson. I know he loves LSU. He loves Louisiana. He's got great ties to New Orleans. He's got, I mean, you have the number one defensive lineman in the country basically saying, if Frank's there, I'll be there. But if he's maybe not going to be there, then I'm not signing. I mean, that's powerful. And he's not the only one. I mean, Frank is the one who has those relationships. So, you know, it's a mistake that Brian Kelly made early in his tenure at LSU. Remember, Brian Kelly brought Frank Wilson here. That was a very good thing he did. But in not retaining so many people that had those relationships in Louisiana and not retaining Corey Raymond, like that was a problem. You're bringing in a Brian Polian as his recruiting coordinator initially was a whiff. Not retaining Corey Raymond was a whiff. Bringing in Robert Steeples, I mean, that was a whiff. And it cost them. But over his time in Baton Rouge, he rebuilt his staff with everyone that had ties to LSU. And I hope that's a lesson Lane Kiffin doesn't have to learn the hard way as well. So, listen, he's the head coach. He has autonomy to hire his staff however he wants. And every coach is going to bring people that know them, know their system, are loyal to them. That is a 100 out of 100 thing that happens. 100% of the time, a head coach is going to bring people with him who are his guys. And you'll have a blending of staffs and new guys that come in. That happens everywhere. But this is one that, to me, should feel non-negotiable. And I don't know how that's going to shake with Frank Wilson. It's very much up in the air right now. But my hope is that Frank Wilson does end up a part of the staff, and Richard Anderson ends up a part of this class, and LSU continues to have a stranglehold on New Orleans area talent. But we'll see how it all plays out. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com, Williamson, EYE.com. Told you yesterday, man, I was over at the Kiffin press conference and bumped into a buddy, Michael, who's a photographer for the Advocate. And he was telling me about his experience with Dr. Blake. He heard us talking. He listens to the show, heard us talking about it. Had always been told, so he's 49 years old, had always been told not a candidate for LASIK. So he heard me talking about EVO ICL. ICL is the implantable contact lens. It's an alternative to LASIK. So if you're nearsighted, so you can't see far away, and you wear contacts or glasses, and you're not a candidate for LASIK, well, EVO ICL is an alternative where you have a contact lens implanted in your eye. And it's totally reversible too, by the way. Pain-free, little to no downtime. Get more information. Just go for that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson at the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Rolling along here on a Tuesday edition, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We'll knock out a quick break. Remember, if you got a question or comment, you get it in, email us, tweet us, text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. You can always jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat as well on the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. Appreciate you for being there. If you are watching on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. And shout out to everybody watching on WBTR as well. And listening on our great affiliates on ESPN Alexandria, Lafayette, Lake Charles, or online. We appreciate you for hanging out with us here on this Tuesday edition of AFR. Okay, quick break. We'll come back. We'll give you a little bit of what Kellen Moore had to say. I know it feels like a total left turn on this day, but a little bit, or maybe I'll just decide not to do the Saints stuff at all. I don't know. I might come back from the break and there'll be 3 more flips, and it'll derail us again. So, in any event, we'll continue on AFR.
AFR.
Man, I want to send a gigantic thank you to Derek Duplessis and our friends at Duplessis Builders. So today, I've told you for many weeks leading up that at Parish Construction and Roofing, we've had our 12 Days of Christmas promotion. We're not trying to sell roofs or anything like that. This was just something that we wanted to do around the holidays to be able to bless people around Christmas. And so at Parish, we put up $1,000 cash for 12 families. And Derek stepped in and matched it. So the 12 families that we were able to help got $2,000 cash. They got shoes from Ruckus for the family, and they got Christmas dinner from our friends at Chris's Specialty Foods. It's great to be partnered with great people. And so every day when I sit there and tell you about Duplessis Builders, I'm telling you about pools and outdoor kitchens and putting greens and different things they could do to beautify your outdoor space, and all that is legitimate. They're awesome. I mean, they were named a top 50 pool builder in America by Pool and Spa Magazine. I mean, come on, that's incredible third-party validation. But they're awesome people as well. So need a pool or an outdoor kitchen, you can trust the best. DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She says she's got a dream, and I ask what it is. She wants a little.
LouisianaSports.net and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge are teaming up to send you to the All-State Sugar Bowl. Enter now for your chance to win 2 tickets to the big game in New Orleans on Thursday, January 1st, plus a 2-night stay in the city and $200 in expenses. Don't miss it. Head to LouisianaSports.net/contest to enter. We'll announce the winner on Monday, December 8th.
Yeah, if you go to the homepage at LouisianaSports.net, you'll see the big Sugar Bowl logo. You just tap that logo and you're entered to win. We might have a lot of Ole Miss fans listening to the show these days. They could be in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, that ain't a bad thing for Ole Miss fans to enter. I mean, they're going to get they should get a home playoff game. If they win it, there's a chance they could end up in the Sugar Bowl Sugar Bowl is a quarterfinal matchup this year. So, I mean, we're giving somebody tickets. You don't have to be an LSU fan. You don't have to be from Louisiana. So, 2 tickets to the game, 2-night hotel stay. It'd be like a nice consolation prize.
$200 too.
Yeah, $200 to help for expenses, whatever it is. So, spread the word. Send it to your Ole Miss friends. That's our olive branch. Yes, we stole your coach in the middle of your greatest season ever. But here's your opportunity to go to the game on us. Oh, you made the Sugar Bowl. Sure, it'll be great for you. Sure, it's going to go awesome when you face Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. That probably wouldn't happen. Well, I don't think Ohio State would play in the Sugar Bowl. Because last year was Georgia Notre Dame. I went to it. Whatever. I'm sure it's going to work out fine. I'm sure Pete Golding is going to be a home run hire. Nothing's going to go wrong at all for you guys without Lane Kiffin. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. We'll talk more about Ole Miss later. They're not the story here. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for hanging out. You can email us, tweet us, or text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Somebody sent me a clip today of I hesitate to even talk about this, but so Clinton Yates does a national ESPN show, and I'm sure he's super talented and really good and all whatever. We air 1 hour of it locally here. For those that ask, like we have to contractually, when you're an ESPN affiliate, you're obligated to air so many hours of national programming, whatever. And so after Off the Bench in Baton Rouge with Hester and T and I almost went Hester and T-Bob with Hester and Flynn. Sorry, Matt. We have 1 hour of Clinton Yates. So a friend sent me a clip. I didn't hear this, but a friend sent me a clip of Clinton Yates saying effectively that the reason Lane Kiffin delayed his decision as long as he did was because he was waiting for the Iron Bowl to see if Alabama lost, because if Alabama lost, then they were going to fire Kalen DeBoer, and then Lane Kiffin was going to go to Alabama. That's some pretty wicked mental gymnastics right there to think all that through. And it's absolutely a completely unfounded, based in no form of reality whatsoever from anywhere at all, which just makes it even funnier. But here, can you hear this music? This is the clip. I don't know if you can hear it. Wait, hang on. Yeah, play it.
That's the job Lane Kiffin wants. And he's willing to step on any school, including LSU, until he gets there. And the reason why he waited until the Iron Bowl ended to make that call is because if Alabama had lost that game to Auburn, they probably would have fired their coach too. And he was willing to snake both Ole Miss and LSU if Alabama had become calling as well. Don't forget that if you're sticking your chest out in Baton Rouge right now, talking about we got the big guy.
As someone who has spent the last 6 weeks of his life knowing way more about this situation than I ever thought or cared to know. I mean, when something like this happens and you're covering the story, like if you could see my call log, you'd be astonished. I can tell you what Clinton Yates said right there is so stupid. Like, I shouldn't say stupid. It's wholly ignorant. And what it actually reminded me of is why national people should not talk about college football. Because they have no idea. And it's one of those things where they exist their whole lives in not only NFL and pro sports, but major market NFL and pro sports. That's what they do all the time. And it makes sense, right? If you're a national show, you have to appeal to the most dense population area. So what do you talk about? New York, LA, Chicago, DC, and it's storylines, right? Why do you think the Dallas Cowboys are they're talking about the Dallas Cowboys in February? Or May, just because always Dak. I mean, it's just whatever's going to be appealing. So that's what they talk about all the time. And they only overstep into college football when it becomes a major national headline. Well, Lane Kiffin's a major national headline. So here you have a guy who, by the way, I think Clinton Yates might actually even be from Louisiana. I think I heard that somewhere. Had spent some time in Louisiana in his life, but has absolutely zero clue about any of this. But in his own dismissive logic has found a way to believe that this is reality is insane. And it's patently absurd to think like, and just to pass that opinion off as truth, which is why, I remember this so vividly. When LSU played Clemson for the national championship, First Take was in New Orleans. And whenever a show like that goes on the road, you have to basically have a court jester, right? It's someone who can, because you have a live studio audience. And so I've done this twice when First Take has been here. It was once for the NBA All-Star game and then once for the Natty with LSU and Clemson. And so whenever the show goes to break, you have a live audience there. Well, they want to keep the energy up because it's like a 3-hour deal. I mean, you're sitting in a chair and you can't leave for 3 hours. So during the break, they have somebody come out as like a hype man. And so that was me. And now you're throwing out T-shirts and you're asking questions and you're interacting. You're just trying to keep the energy up. Well, I got to spend time adjacent a lot to Stephen A. that day. And he's brilliant at what he does. And he's so good. There's a reason he's the highest paid employee at ESPN and all that sort of stuff. I'm not dismissing. But his lack of understanding of the LSU football team in 2019 relative to Clemson was comical. Listening to him talk that day, both on air and behind the scenes. He was a guy that covers the NFL and the NBA and doesn't know a lick, like could not have told you 5 players' names on the LSU team and was trying to break down that game. It was very obvious. And that was a very clear indicator to me of how that works with national personalities like that. And this is just another example of it. I mean, what a miserable, embarrassing display. Like, just stay in your lane, man. Like, I'm not breaking down the Luka trade to the Lakers here. Like, that's not my lane. Giant national story, that's not really what I do here. Like, I do the thing I do that my audience wants to hear. I mean, it's just a really embarrassing thing to hear. Kind of embarrassed that show was on our air today. I'm actually embarrassed that show's on our air most days, but we're kind of obligated to carry a little bit of it. So, anyway, probably a great guy, though. Probably a great guy. Awful take, but probably a great guy. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com. Industrial Generac generator power. Arco.com. Power goes out at your business. What do? Well, you have to have a backup power option. That's Arco. This is not for your home. These are not standby generators for your home. This is standby generator power for your business. It's energy for your business. So get started today. If you don't have a plan for what happens when the power goes out at your business, let Arco Power Systems help. ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com. They can come and everything's turnkey. They can install one of those standby generators. They can service your generator. And if you need a rental, they can help you there as well. And they're everywhere. Home base is in Baton Rouge, but they have offices in Little Rock, east to Mobile, west to San Antonio, and all points in between. Arco.com. ARCCO, Arco.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. All right, Muse will have Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2. If you missed the news earlier today, Lane Kiffin announced that Charlie Weiss Jr. will, in fact, coach Ole Miss in the college football playoff. I'll get to that in 13 minutes after the top of the hour because I do have a lot of thoughts on that. We'll do it coming up on AFR.
AFR.
Man, I'm going to have lunch Friday with my buddies Matt and Paul, not Musso and O'Neill. They're not really my buddies. They just work here. I'm just kidding, guys. I love you. Matt, Rick, and Paul Ragusa over at River City's 1 Hour Air. They're my good friends as well as colleagues, and happy to be in business with them. But River City's 1 Hour Air, great people, and they always provide a great service. So remember, you see the big yellow vans and trucks all over town, and this is a great time of year, man. I woke up today. We actually did our family photos. If you're watching, it's why I'm moderately dressed up today. We did our family Christmas photos, and it was the feels like outside this morning was 32. Drew was miserable, poor baby. I don't know that we got any good pictures because we were all frostbitten. But when it's cold like that, you have your heater on inside, and it's cold weather months, meaning you're turning on your heater. Make sure that thing is safe and efficient. Call River City's 1 Hour Air for your heater safety check. 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She's even kind of crazy about my farmer's tan. She's the only one who really understands what gets me. She thinks my tractor's sexy. Well, she ain't.
Remember, you can always get 10% off toys, the riding toys over at Sunshine for the kiddos. Christmas is just about here. How about some John Deere? We've got a beautiful John Deere tractor toy right here. They have other ones that squeak and make noise and all kinds of stuff. Drew has a few of them. A shout out to my guy Rooney over at Sunshine. Hooked Drew up with a bunch of John Deere tractor toys a few years ago. He loves them still. So check them out. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Musso, Tigers in the Pro.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, let's go ahead and start with Monday Night Football. New England Patriots, big winners over the Giants a night ago. Kayshon Boutte, big part of that. Caught four passes, 35 yards, and a touchdown in the game. The touchdown, his 6th receiving score of the season. That leads the New England Patriots team. Also caught 4 out of the 5 targets his way. So big night there for Kayshon, who's back healthy. Kayvon Chaisson on the other side of the ball for New England. 4 tackles in the ball game. 2 hits on the quarterback. Just missed getting home for a sack in that one, but still a productive night nonetheless. And then how about Cordell Flott? in the slot over there for the New York Giants. 5 stops, including a TFL in the loss a night ago. On Sunday, I want to bring Patrick Queen up here. He had 6 stops in the game and a hit on the quarterback over in the snow up in Pittsburgh. But he's also dealing with a glute injury right now, and Mike Tomlin, in a rare Tuesday press conference on an off day, did mention that Queen would be questionable right now for the game against the Baltimore Ravens. Omar Spates, 7 tackles in the Rams loss against the Patriots. And last but not least, Devin White, 11 stops, second on his team, actually, as the Chargers destroyed the Raiders. That's Tigers in the Pros.
I mentioned earlier, man, I had an awesome day over at Parrish Construction and Roofing, man. We today we got to meet our 12 winners for our 12 days of Christmas. And I'm not trying to sell your roof today. Just a really cool thing to be able to do. And maybe if you don't know, we partner with Duplessis Builders, Chris's Specialty Foods, and Ruckus to put together 12 sort of gift packs. $2,000 cash, Christmas dinner from Chris's, shoes from Ruckus, Parrish and Duplessis each put up $1,000 cash to be able to bless 12 families this Christmas. It was such a moving thing to be able to do and to see those people today. And if you have an opportunity and you have the means, you can help. Whatever it may be, if you can give back, every day would be great. But especially during the holiday season, take the opportunity to do it if you can. So, happy to be able to do it. Parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Okay, SportsCenter's coming up. We'll kick off hour number 3. I do want to talk about Charlie Weiss, coach in Ole Miss.
AFR.
Big shout out to our friends at Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. As a matter of fact, I was driving down I-10 today, and you know Baton Rouge loves a billboard, man. But I'm driving down I-10, and there was a big old Our Lady of the Lake billboard welcoming Lane Kiffin and Layla and Landry and Presley and Knox to Baton Rouge. Of course, at Our Lady of the Lake, they're the championship health partner of LSU Athletics. When you think LSU, you should think Our Lady of the Lake. The two are synonymous. Not only for the amazing care they provide the student athletes at LSU. Player gets injured, the doctors run out onto the field, the trainers, those are Our Lady of the Lake physicians that help the LSU student athletes in-game recovery, all of it. Also, the LSU students. The Our Lady of the Lake has the contract for the LSU Student Center as well. And then there's the standalone hospitals. There's the Lake After Hours Clinic. It's Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar.